Roy Kelton Orbison was born on April 23, 1936, in Vernon, Texas, and raised during a time when hardship was a shared American language. Growing up in a working-class family at the fading edge of the Great Depression, Roy found refuge in music almost as soon as he could hold a guitar. By age 6, he was already playing, and by 8 he was performing on local radio, his voice carrying far beyond his years. Encouraged rather than pressured, Roy's parents recognized that music gave their quiet, introspective son a way to express emotions he rarely spoke aloud. Influenced by country legends like Hank Williams, gospel harmonies, and classic pop crooners such as Bing Crosby, Roy developed a musical identity rooted in feeling rather than flash. After moving to Wink, Texas, he formed his first band while still in high school, unknowingly laying the emotional blueprint for a career unlike any other. Finding his voice in a changing music world, Roy Orbison's early professional journey was marked by persistence more than instant success. Signing with Sun Records in the late 1950s placed him among future legends. Yet his early rockabilly recordings failed to capture the depth of what he truly had to offer. It was only after moving to Monument Records that Roy's artistry fully emerged. Under producer Fred Foster, he was encouraged to lean into emotion rather than trends, resulting in a sound that blended rock, pop, and orchestral drama. Only the Lonely changed everything, introducing audiences to a voice that soared with vulnerability instead of bravado. Songs like Crying, In Dreams, and Running Scared followed, each one peeling back layers of longing and heartbreak. Roy wasn't singing about rebellion or youth. He was singing about loss, yearning, and fragile hope, giving voice to feelings many listeners struggled to articulate themselves. The man behind the dark glasses, Roy Orbison's appearance became as iconic as his music. Dressed almost exclusively in black and hidden behind dark sunglasses, he projected an image of mystery that fascinated audiences worldwide. Yet this was never a carefully crafted persona designed for marketing impact. The glasses began as a practical solution after losing prescription lenses before performance, but they soon became a symbol of emotional distance and introspection. On stage, Roy rarely moved, letting his voice carry the full weight of expression. Off stage, he was known to be gentle, reserved, and deeply private. The contrast between his immense fame and quiet personal nature only deepened the intrigue surrounding him. While many artists chased attention, Roy seemed almost uncomfortable with it, retreating inward even as his music reached millions. This tension between public recognition and private solitude would follow him throughout his life, shaping both his art and personal struggles. Love, youth, and early responsibility. In 1957, at just 21, Roy Orbison married Claudette Frady, his teenage sweetheart and emotional anchor during the earliest years of his career. Their relationship was passionate, youthful, and imperfect, shaped by love but strained by the demands of sudden fame. Claudette inspired Roy creatively, becoming the namesake of one of his songs and a central presence in his emotional world. Together they welcomed 3 sons, and Roy took immense pride in fatherhood, even as touring often kept him away from home. Balancing a rising career with family responsibilities proved difficult, and periods of separation tested their bond. Yet despite challenges, Roy remained deeply attached to the idea of family, seeing it as a grounding force in an otherwise chaotic industry. This attachment made the tragedies that followed not only devastating, but life-altering in ways that forever reshaped him. Tragedy, that changed the music forever? In June 1966, Roy Orbison's life was permanently altered when Claudette was killed in a motorcycle accident. The loss came shortly after the couple had reconciled, amplifying the emotional shock. Friends later recalled Roy as visibly broken, struggling to process grief while continuing to perform. Just 2 years later, unimaginable tragedy struck again when a fire destroyed his home in Tennessee, claiming the lives of his 2 eldest sons while Roy was overseas. Only his youngest survived by circumstance. These losses were not public spectacles at the time, but their emotional impact quietly reshaped Roy's music and spirit. Listeners would later note a deeper ache in his voice, a heaviness that felt painfully authentic. What had once sounded like poetic sorrow now carried lived experience. Roy did not dramatize his grief publicly, but it lived within every note he sang thereafter. Withdrawal, survival, and quiet endurance. Following these devastating events, Roy Orbison withdrew from public life more than fans realized. He continued recording and performing, but the momentum of his career slowed, particularly during the 1970s as musical trends shifted. Behind the scenes, he focused on survival rather than reinvention, navigating grief, responsibility, and the pressures of an unforgiving industry. Those close to him described a man who carried sorrow silently, using routine and discipline as coping mechanisms. Music remained his anchor, even when commercial success faded. Unlike many artists, Roy never reinvented himself to chase relevance. Instead, he stayed true to emotional honesty, even when it cost him visibility. This period was not one of failure, but of endurance. Though quieter and less celebrated, these years preserved the integrity that would later make his unexpected resurgence all the more meaningful. A second chance at love and stability. In 1969, Roy Orbison found renewed stability when he married Barbara Jacobs, whose presence brought structure and emotional support back into his life. Their partnership was rooted in mutual respect, with Barbara playing a key role in managing Roy's career and protecting his well-being. Together they had 2 sons and built a family life that offered Roy a sense of peace he had long been missing. Barbara's influence became especially important during the later years, as she encouraged opportunities that reintroduced Roy to new audiences without compromising his artistic identity. While grief never fully left him, love returned in a quieter, steadier form. This chapter did not erase the past, but it allowed Roy to move forward with purpose. It marked a turning point where survival gradually gave way to renewal, both personally and professionally. Rediscovery and the Wilburys era. The 1980s brought Roy Orbison an extraordinary revival few could have predicted. Younger artists openly cited him as an influence, and his voice found new resonance with a generation discovering emotional depth in music once again. His involvement with the traveling Wilburys, alongside George Harrison, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, and Jeff Lynne, reintroduced him to the world, not as a relic, but as a legend among legends. The collaboration was joyful, organic, and deeply affirming. Roy's harmonies added warmth and gravity, reminding audiences of his unmatched vocal power. Around the same time, he received long overdue recognition through inductions into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Songwriters Hall of Fame. Publicly, it appeared as a triumphant return. Privately, Roy remained the same introspective soul, grateful but cautious, aware of time and personal limits. Mystery Girl and a Legacy completed Roy Orbison's final album, Mystery Girl, released shortly after his death in 1988, became a powerful farewell that captured both vulnerability and grace. Songs like You Got It showcased renewed energy while still honoring the emotional honesty that defined his career. Years later, expanded editions revealed additional material, offering fans a final glimpse into his creative spirit. These releases were handled with care by his family, particularly Barbara and his sons, ensuring his legacy was preserved with dignity. Rather than framing his life as a mystery solved, these moments reframed it as a story understood. Roy's music was never about darkness for its own sake. It was about truth, pain, love, and endurance. The sorrow listeners heard was real, but so was the beauty, resilience, and generosity he shared through song. Understanding the man beyond the myth. In the end, the so-called mystery of Roy Orbison is not rooted in secrets or sensational revelations, but in emotional honesty. His music reflected a man who felt deeply, suffered profoundly, and chose expression over silence. The tragedies he endured did not define him entirely, but they shaped the depth that made his voice unforgettable. Roy Orbison was not a figure consumed by darkness, but a human being who transformed pain into connection. The sunglasses, the stillness, the aching lyrics were not performances, but protections. Today, his legacy stands not as a warning, but as a testament to the power of vulnerability. Roy gave the world songs that continue to comfort, haunt, and heal. And perhaps that is the truth at the heart of it all. His voice endures because it carried something real, something shared, and something timeless.